What if I revealed to you that this video is an act of digital alchemy? You did not end up here by mistake, but because something deep inside you, that inner fire that has always burned, has guided you here. In the universe governed by the Hermetic laws, chance is just a name we give to synchronicity when we forget to read its meaning. Every thought of yours, every unanswered question, every sleepless night searching for answers, everything has led you to this precise moment. The Kybalion is not just a book, it is a mirror. And if these words resonate with you, it is because you recognize the truth that you have always known, but that the world has made you forget. You are not here to learn, but to remember. In the next few minutes, I will reveal how to apply the 7 Hermetic principles to transform chaos into order, make the universe respond to your inner state, and make every synchronicity a decipherable language. But first, a pact between initiates. Immediately, give a like with the seal of Hermes. That thumbs up is not a simple gesture, it is a symbol of recognition. So I will know that you are not a simple spectator, but a seeker ready to receive the fire of knowledge. Long before modern science, before religions were structured as we know them today, there was a name whispered among priests, philosophers, and initiates. Hermes Trismegistus, thrice great, thrice master, thrice initiated into the deepest mysteries of creation. He is the point where 2 ancient cultures meet. In Egypt, he was Thoth, god of wisdom, writing, and time. In Greece, he became Hermes, the messenger between the worlds, patron of occult knowledge and divine communication. The fusion of these 2 figures gave birth to an archetype so powerful that its influence has spanned the centuries, hidden among symbols, numbers, and coded words. Hermes was considered the founder of the first mystery school in Egypt, a temple where knowledge was not imparted directly, but experienced by those who were ready to receive it. His teachings were so secret, so sealed, that they gave rise to the term we still use today, Hermetic knowledge, a closed wisdom inaccessible to the superficial gaze, reserved only for the initiated, like a spiritual crypt that guards the laws that govern the invisible. About 35 works were attributed to him, many of which were lost in the fires that destroyed the Library of Alexandria. But a small part survived, and it was this spark that lit the flame of a work that would last for centuries, the Kybalion. Written in 1908 by authors who chose to remain anonymous, signing themselves only as the 3 initiates, the Kybalion is no ordinary book. It is a treatise, a coded compendium that synthesizes the entire essence of original Hermeticism. Although it may seem recent, its foundations are ancient. The language may have adapted to the modern world, but the content pulsates with the same energy as the hieroglyphics engraved on the stones of the Temple of Thoth. This oral and vibrational tradition was never intended to be popular. That is why few have heard of it, and even fewer have understood it. All is mind, the universe as living thought, and it is precisely because of this silent legacy passed down almost invisibly that the first principle revealed in the Kybalion has such a profound impact: mentalism. According to this law, everything that exists, absolutely everything, is mind. The entire universe, with its planets, galaxies, cycles of nature, human emotions, ideas, and memories, is a living thought vibrating within the consciousness of the all. This is not a metaphor. For the initiated, it is literal. You are not looking at the universe from the outside, you are inside it. More than anything, you are inside the mind of God. Imagine a mind so vast, so powerful, that everything it thinks manifests as reality. This is the essence of the all, the primordial consciousness, the source. The Hindus called it Mahatma, the cosmic mind. The Gnostics called it Pleroma. The Hermetists simply the all. But what does this mean in practice? It means that the reality you are experiencing right now is directly shaped by the quality of your thoughts. It all starts inside. Nothing moves out there without first moving in here. The mind is the matrix. Your perception, your thought patterns, your deepest beliefs, all of this works as the brush with which you are painting your existence. It is as if we are living inside a simulation, but a simulation created by spiritual laws. And the most amazing part, you are actively participating in this creation. Your thoughts, emotions, intentions, and vibrational states directly influence the events around you. This truth underlies everything the ancient masters taught. It's why Buddha said that suffering comes from the mind, why Jesus said that faith can move mountains, and why Hermes revealed that everything is mind. Modern quantum physics is starting to align with this idea. The famous observer effect, which shows how particles change in behavior based on the presence of an observing consciousness, is just one of many clues that mind influences matter. So if the universe is mind and you are a spark of that supreme mind, what's stopping you from consciously shaping your life? And when you begin to understand that everything is mind, that reality is shaped from the inside out, the question arises, so why do things seem to happen so randomly? Why do some people suffer so much, while others move through life with apparent ease? The answer lies in what the Kybalion bluntly reveals. Everything happens according to a law. There is no such thing as true chance. What we call luck, coincidence, or destiny is actually just a spiritual law that we have not yet recognized. The universe is not a random chaos, it is a perfect symphony governed by 7 universal laws, and these laws do not need your faith to operate, just as gravity does not stop acting if you do not believe in it. Hermetic laws are constantly acting on your life even if you are unaware of it. One of the most important is the law of cause and effect. Everything you are experiencing today is a direct consequence of causes set in motion in the past. Not just actions, but thoughts, emotions, and vibrations that you have maintained over time. This is karma. This is subtle physics. This is Hermeticism in its purest form. To illustrate this principle more clearly, I will share with you a short story that perfectly represents it. In a village surrounded by mountains, there lived an old gardener known for his calmness and wisdom. Every day he took care of his plants with great patience, even when the sun was scorching or the rain destroyed his garden. A young man from the village, frustrated by his own failures, asked the old man why his life was so difficult, while the old man seemed to live in peace. The old man smiled and said, "Come early tomorrow morning. I want to show you something." The next morning they took a seed to the top of a hill. The old man asked the young man to plant it and come back every day to water it. At first nothing happened. After weeks a small shoot appeared. The young man began to smile, but one stormy day the shoot was torn away by the wind. Frustrated, the young man exclaimed, "See, nothing ever works as it should." The old man calmly replied, "You want to harvest an oak tree with the patience of a flower. That was just one cause among millions. Your life is the sum of all the seeds you have planted, whether you are aware of it or not. Some sprout quickly, others take years. Some you have forgotten you buried, but no seed escapes the law." This simple story captures the heart of the law of cause and effect. You are not at the mercy of invisible forces playing with your life. You are experiencing the effects of causes that you have already set in motion or accepted unconsciously. Everything you vibrate, think, feel, desire, reject, everything comes back to you in the form of experience, rhythm, and return. The path is not linear, and it is precisely when we understand that everything we experience is the result of causes that we have set in motion that we begin to see the logic behind the ups and downs of our path. But even with this understanding, there are times when everything seems to fall apart. You take one step forward and it feels like you are taking 2 steps back. The feeling of regression can be frustrating. However, this is also governed by one of the 7 laws, the law of rhythm. This law teaches us that everything in life moves like a pendulum. Everything flows, everything has its ebb and flow. Emotions, energy, relationships, finances, health, spirituality. There is a constant oscillation, sometimes subtle, sometimes intense, but it never stops. Nothing rises or falls forever. Just as the sea has its tides, as day turns to night, as winter precedes spring, Your life also goes through inevitable cycles. These cycles do not mean failure, they are part of the sacred mechanics of the universe. The financial market itself, for example, is a practical expression of this law. Experienced analysts know that continuous growth is an illusion. There will always be moments of correction. The secret is not to panic during the valleys and not to be fooled by the peaks. This is rhythm. And here comes an even deeper key. Plato said that the soul evolves in a spiral. This means that even if you feel like you are returning to the same point, you are not in the same position as before. You are revisiting that point from a new level of consciousness. It is like climbing a spiral mountain. You pass the same corners, the same landscapes, but each time from a greater height. What once affected you deeply now barely touches you. What once seemed like the end is now only part of the journey. Regression, then, is an illusion. It is only the curve of the spiral of your own transformation. Notice how this changes everything. When you accept rhythm, you stop fighting against the cycles. You start using the introversion phases to dive into yourself and the expansion phases to manifest with awareness. The secret is not to avoid movement but to learn to dance with it. And if rhythm shows us that everything oscillates, polarity reveals that everything also has two sides of the same essence. Life is not made of absolute opposites, but of variations of frequency within the same vibrational line. What we call cold and hot, for example, are not different substances, but simply different intensities of the same phenomenon, temperature. The same is true for emotions such as fear and love, sadness and enthusiasm, chaos and order. These seemingly opposite pairs are connected by an invisible bridge, the degree of vibration. The finer the vibration, the higher its expression. Matter vibrates slowly so it appears solid, dense, limited. When the vibration accelerates, matter becomes energy. Faster still, it becomes light. Faster still, spirit. And at the highest point, this vibration merges with the One itself, what we call God. Here lies the secret of transmutation. You don't need to stop being who you are or try to eliminate your shadow. You simply need to raise the vibration of what already exists within you. Fear can be transmuted into courage. Attachment can become conscious love. Anger can be transformed into transformative action, and pain can become a catalyst for awakening. This is the essence of true alchemy, not to transform lead into physical gold, but to transmute internal states, changing the vibrational level of a lower state into a higher one, without denying the nature of what is being transformed. Just as an alchemist works with fire, with the timing and intensity of the flame to achieve the elixir, the practitioner of Hermetic wisdom learns to observe their internal states and act with the intention of raising their frequency. This is inner alchemy. This is vibrational mastery. This is awakening. And at this point in the journey, something begins to move silently but powerfully within you, an almost imperceptible yet transformative change. As you apply the Hermetic principles and cultivate the practice of inner transmutation, you become more aware of yourself. And with this new awareness, you realize that what you once called your life purpose may have been only an invitation, a ball thrown forward by your soul, not as a final destination, but as a tool the universe used to move you. How many times have you chased something with all your energy, believing it to be the culmination of your mission, only to realize, once you reached it, that it no longer made sense? It happens to everyone who walks the path, and it is not a mistake. Hermes Trismegistus said, "The path reveals the seeker." That means you don't have to know everything before you begin. The veil lifts as you walk. You find yourself through the seeking. Every desire, every goal, every dream that once pulsed within you was an exact reflection of your consciousness at that moment. And when your consciousness changes, so do your desires. That's why so many dreams die before they come true. Not because you failed, but because you changed. The version of you that wanted that thing is no longer in charge. It has been replaced by a new identity, more aware, more connected, more refined. And that's not failure, that's evolution. Purpose. Contrary to what is often taught, is not something fixed, immutable, set in stone. It's alive. It breathes with you. It moves as you transform. Imagine you are in an open field, throwing balls in front of you. You run toward one. You strive to reach it. You dive in head first. But along the way, another ball appears. Perhaps brighter, perhaps lighter, perhaps more inspiring. And it is natural to want to reach it. The previous ball was not in vain. It served its purpose to pull you out of inertia, to push you to the next level. Each of those balls is a sacred step. They are what shaped who you are becoming. They are what taught you to trust the movement, to open yourself to the new, to expand your perception of what is possible. The mistake would be to hold on to a ball that no longer vibrates with your soul just for fear of appearing inconsistent. But what seems like inconsistency is often just the reflection of an expanding soul. And maybe right now a new ball is starting to show. It might be subtle, like a restlessness deep in your chest, a recurring thought, a desire to move to a new city, to change careers, to study something you've never considered before. And even if it doesn't make sense yet, even if your mind tries to push the urge away, there's something there, a new cycle that wants to be born. This is the invitation of awakened consciousness, to realize that purpose is not a straight line to a place. Purpose is a spiral that is constantly ascending. With each turn, you see the world from a new angle, and what once seemed fundamental now seems small. This is not devaluation, it is clarity. You no longer have to beat yourself up for changing your mind. You no longer have to feel ashamed for letting go of an old dream. Every ball you chased was necessary. Every path, every detour, every seeming mistake was actually the next right step, because purpose isn't out there, on a trophy to be won. It's inside you, and it reveals itself with every step, with every yes you give to your process. And as long as you keep throwing those balls, as long as you allow yourself to move with curiosity and presence, the path will never stop revealing itself. Because purpose isn't about arriving, it's about continuing. And as long as there is movement, there will be meaning. All laws are one, the source code of the universe. And as new balls appear and your path becomes clearer, you begin to realize that none of this is random. There is a code that binds reality, an invisible pattern that silently intertwines everything, like a spiritual thread that connects all the experiences you have had so far. This thread is made of the 7 Hermetic laws, and the more you understand them, the more you see that ultimately they are all different expressions of a single wisdom. That is why, when you try to understand one law in isolation, you quickly find yourself touching the others. Talking about rhythm inevitably means talking about polarity. Understanding cause and effect is impossible without recognizing mentalism. It is like trying to separate the threads of a tapestry without breaking down the entire design. Each law is an aspect of the whole. Each reveals a facet of how the universal mind operates. 1. Mentalism is the structure that holds everything together. It states that everything is mind, that everything begins with thought, with creative consciousness. It is the starting point of everything. 2. Correspondence acts as a bridge between the worlds. As above, so below, as within, so without. It allows us to read the signs of the outer world as reflections of our inner universe. 3. Vibration shows us that nothing is still. Everything pulsates, everything moves, everything vibrates on some level. This law reveals the dynamic flow of creation. 4. Polarity shows that everything has two sides, two extremes of the same thing: hot and cold, love and fear, light and shadow. This law teaches us to transmute by consciously moving from one pole to the other. 5. The law of rhythm shows that everything moves in cycles. The universe breathes, the tides rise and fall. Life pulsates through highs and lows. This law invites us to dance with acceptance and wisdom of the times. 6. The law of cause and effect reveals that nothing happens by chance. Every action generates a reaction. Every choice plants a seed. Reality responds to what you put out, consciously or unconsciously. 7. The law of gender shows that everything contains within itself both the active and the receptive principle, the creative impulse and the creative receptacle. Life is born when these forces are in harmony. Together, these laws form the foundation of the source code of the universe. They are the invisible engine that drives creation. Most people go through life being swept along by them, reacting to their effects without knowing that they could be consciously navigating them. But those who learn to see these principles in action, who study and live these patterns with awakened attention, become the alchemists of their own reality. How to use the Kybalion to change your reality, once and for all. And when the seeker begins to see this great source code that structures reality, an even deeper truth emerges. The initiate does not fight against the laws, he dances with them. The Kybalion is clear when it states, "The wise man does not rebel against the law, but understands and uses it. The ordinary man is swept along by it, like a log floating on a current." The initiate, on the other hand, swims with it, and in doing so, overcomes it. Imagine two swimmers in a river with a strong current. The first, unaware of the tides, fights against the force of the water, trying to advance with pure brute force. In a short time, he is exhausted and dragged back. The second, on the other hand, knows the flows, the curves, the rhythm of the waters. He does not fight it, he observes it, understands it, and adapts his body to slide with ease. He seems to fly on the water. This is the difference between those who live unaware and those who are awakened to the laws. The first lives in conflict, trying to change the external world without understanding the internal one. The second changes his frequency and watches the world transform around him. When you understand mentalism, you begin to observe your thoughts. When you understand correspondence, you begin to see how the outer patterns reflect what is within. When you understand rhythm, you stop punishing yourself during the low points and begin to respect your ascending cycle. True power is not in control, but in alignment. This is the secret of the masters. They do not try to force life, they align with it. They do not create through effort, but through vibration. And now that you too have begun to see all this, comes the question that changes everything. How do you use the Kybalion in practice to change your reality once and for all? You are not here to just admire concepts. You are here to activate this in your life. And it is possible. You just have to start living by these laws. Let's look at each of them now, calmly, directly, with real examples, so you can apply them today. 1. Mentalism. It all starts in the mind. Your reality is a direct reflection of your dominant thoughts. If you think about scarcity, you experience lack. If you vibrate fear, you attract experiences that fuel it. What to do? Observe your internal dialogue. Start your day with positive affirmations. Visualize every day the reality you want to live, as if it were already happening. Avoid negative conversations and content that depresses you. Practical example. Instead of thinking I never have enough money, say, I create opportunities for prosperity every day. 2. Correspondence. What happens outside is a reflection of what happens inside. If your relationship is confused, look at how your internal dialogue has been. If your house is in disarray, perhaps your mind is too. What to do? Bring order to the micro. Take care of your room, your diet, your body. It will be reflected in the macro. Practical example. Start tidying up your space before making important decisions. It changes your vibration and clarity. 3. Vibration. Everything vibrates. Everything is frequency. You attract only what matches your vibration. Do you want love? Vibrate love. Do you want peace? Vibrate peace. What to do? Raise your frequency with silence, meditation, nature, music, art, laughter, gratitude. Practical example. Keep a gratitude journal and write down 3 things you are grateful for every day. Change your frequency in less than 3 minutes. 4. Polarity. Everything has 2 poles. Cold is the absence of heat. Hate is misdirected love. You don't have to eliminate the negative, but shift its degree. What to do? Transmute. When you feel anger, channel it into movement, action, art. When you feel fear, observe how it can become awareness or caution. Practical example: instead of running away from sadness, use it as fuel to search for something more meaningful. 5. Rhythm. Everything has ups and downs. No one vibrates high all the time, and that's okay. Accepting your cycles is aligning yourself with nature. What to do? Learn to rest in the valleys and take action during the peaks. Avoid making important decisions during the lows. Practical example: on a low energy day, allow yourself to slow down without guilt. This is rhythmic wisdom. 6. Cause and effect. Nothing is by chance. Every action creates a consequence. What you experience today is the result of seeds planted before. What to do? Plan differently now. Change habits, thoughts, postures. Practical example: if you are constantly stressed, control your sleep, nutrition, rest cycles. Small causes, big effects. 7. Gender. Everything contains both masculine and feminine principles. Masculine is action, feminine is intuition. Balancing these forces within you is essential to creating a stable reality. What to do: act when it is time to act, retreat when it is time to feel. Value intuition as much as planning. Now you know what few understand. True alchemy is not done in laboratories, but in the forge of your consciousness. Every principle of the Kybalion you have discovered today is a hammer to shape your reality. But beware, knowledge without application is like unpurified gold, bright but useless. Here is your next step. Leave a like with intention. It is not just any like. It is a magical seal that says, "I am ready." Write 7 laws in the comments. Each word shared creates a wave in the quantum field. Join the Hermetic school, sign up. Because awakening is not an event, but a journey we take together. The universe has just whispered the first lesson. The next one will come exactly when you are ready to receive it. Stat rosa pristina nomine. Nomina nuda tenemus. See you soon.